Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today, to commemorate the long-awaited release of Psychonauts 2, I'll be building Rasputin. First, a bit of background. Raz is a young acrobat who runs away from his family's circus to attend a summer camp that trains children in the use of their psychic powers. Unfortunately, since he's only 10 years old and doesn't have his parents' permission, they call his father to come pick him up. In the day that he gets to spend at camp waiting for his dad, though, Raz makes several friends, hones his psychic abilities, gets a girlfriend, and also foils a conspiracy trying to take over the world using brain-powered psychic tanks. So what do we want from this build? Well, as an acrobat, Raz needs to be very mobile. We'll definitely need a climbing speed, but we specifically need to not have a swimming speed, because of the curse on the Aquato family saying they'll all die in water. Next, we'll need psychic powers, for which we earn a variety of merit badges. Raz can use his mind to do everything from moving objects to turning invisible to projecting force fields. And we'll need specific psi powers for combat, both the close-range psi punch and the longer-range psi blast. Fair warning, at the time of this recording, I have not played Rhombus of Ruin or Psychonauts 2, and I've been actively avoiding anything Psychonauts 2 related because I don't want to be spoiled, so nothing from those games will be included, with one brief exception later on. Looking over at ability scores, I'll be using the standard point array. If you want to roll for stats, that's fine, just make sure your dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom are high enough to multiclass. We'll start off by dumping strength. Raz is only a child, and he can use his mind to do any heavy lifting. Dexterity's 14, he is an acrobat, so he's used to balancing and tumbling. We'll make Constitution 10. Raz tends to fight more in the mental world than the physical, so I'm fine with having less physical health. Intelligence will be 15, and Wisdom is 13. Our psychic powers come from our mind, so we need a strong brain. And we'll finish up with a 12 in Charisma. Raz is good at talking to people, though him being a literal child can lead adults to disregard him. Raz is short and brave, so we'll make him a halfling, and he's also psychic, so we'll make him a ghostwise halfling. We get +2 to our dexterity and +1 to our wisdom, along with advantage on saves against being frightened. We are nimble, so we can pass through the spaces of larger creatures, and lucky to let us use our psychic powers to reroll any ones we get on attack, saves, or ability checks. Ghostwise halflings also get silent speech, letting us send telepathic messages to a creature within 30 feet of us, though it doesn't let that creature answer telepathically. And Raz grew up in the circus, making him an entertainer, giving us proficiency in acrobatics and performance. Now, the first thing we ever see Raz do is sneak away from home and hide in a bush, so we'll start off as a rogue to get 4 skills from the rogue list. Athletics pairs nicely with our acrobatics, and the entire game is about rooting through people's minds, discovering their secrets, and sorting through their emotional baggage, so we'll grab Insight, Investigation, and Perception as well. My 2 picks for expertise are Acrobatics, since we're at home on tightropes, trapeze, and uneven bars, and Perception, since our perceptive abilities are top-notch. You might even say we have extra strong perception. Now, Raz is only 10, so sometimes we have to fight dirty to win. Sneak Attack increases the damage of our finesse or ranged weapons if our attack had advantage, or we had an ally adjacent to the target. The damage starts at 1d6 and goes up every odd-numbered rogue level. Second level rogues get their Levitation merit badge with Cunning Action, letting us dash, disengage, or hide using our bonus action. We can ride on our Levitation ball for some extra speed, or bounce straight up to get out of melee range. At 3rd level, our sneak attack damage increases to 2d6, and we get our marksmanship merit badge by becoming a soul knife. For our psi blasts, we get psychic blades. When we take the attack action, we can conjure a blade into our hand and attack with it. The blade is a simple melee weapon that deals 1d6 psychic damage, has the finesse and thrown properties, and can be thrown up to 60 feet. Since it's a finesse weapon, it even counts for sneak attack, and adds our dexterity modifier to its attack and damage rolls. And we can use our bonus action to make a second blast, summoning and attacking with the second blade if our other hand is free, though the second blade only does a d4 of damage. Alternatively, we can use our bonus action to take steady aim, giving us advantage on our next attack roll in the same turn if we need to trigger our sneak attack, though we can't move before or after taking aim. We also learn to use our psionic power in a couple of other ways. We get a number of d6s equal to double our proficiency bonus that refill on a long rest, though we can also spend a bonus action to regain 1 once per rest. When we fail a check using a skill we're proficient in, we can add a die from our pool to that roll to try to turn it into a success, and we only actually expend the die if the check ends up succeeding. We can also roll a die to establish a telepathic link between a number of creatures equal to our proficiency bonus. The link stays active for a number of hours equal to the number rolled on the die. during which the creatures can talk to us and we can talk to them as long as we're within a mile of each other. We can create this bond once each day for free, though any additional times do expend the die that we roll. So our Psychic Blades will do for our Psy Blast, but for Psy Punches we'll need to jump over to Monk. We get Unarmored Defense, making our AC 10 plus our Dexterity and Wisdom modifiers while we aren't wearing armor. Raz does wear a helmet and goggles, but he also wears a turtleneck and jeans, so I think we're good. First level monks also learn Martial Arts, letting us use our Dexterity instead of our Strength for our unarmed strikes and monk weapons, which our Psychic Blades do count as thanks to being simple melee weapons. We can use a D4 for our unarmed or monk weapon damage, and we can make an unarmed strike with our bonus action after taking the attack action with unarmed strikes or monk weapons. So we can throw a Psychic Blade and either throw another or throw a punch. Our Levitation gets better at second level, with unarmored movement increasing our movement speed by 10, and Step of the Wind doubling our jump distance if we spend a key point for a nice double jump. It also lets us dash or disengage with our bonus action, but Cunning Action already does that without key, so only use it if you need to jump. Patient Defense lets us dodge as a bonus action by spending a key point, and Flurry of Blows uses a key point to make 2 unarmed strikes after throwing out a Psy Blast instead of 1. At 3rd level, we get our Shield Merit Badge with Deflect Missiles, reducing the damage from incoming projectiles by 1d10 plus our Dexterity modifier and our Monk level using our reaction. If this reduces the damage to 0, we can throw it back as a Monk weapon. To turn our punches into Psy Punches, we'll go down the Way of the Astral Self, letting us conjure the arms of our Astral Self as a bonus action by spending a key point. We conjure them with a Palm Bomb, dealing 2 of our martial arts dice to every creature of our choice within 10 feet who fail a Dexterity save. The arms stay out for 10 minutes, and while they're there, we can use them to make unarmed strikes. Their unarmed strikes deal force damage instead of bludgeoning, have an extra 5 feet of reach, and can use our wisdom instead of our strength or dexterity. Though our dexterity is going to be higher, so just stick with that. Even though our dexterity is high, our strength is low, so the arms make up for it with the power of our mind, letting us use our wisdom instead of our strength for strength checks and saves. 4th level monks can grab our first feat. Athlete bumps our dexterity up by 1, lets us stand from prone using only 5 feet of movement, lets us make a long jump after only 5 feet of run-up, and gives us a climbing speed. And once we've climbed up high, we can use Slow Fall to float down in a levitation balloon, reducing any falling damage we take by 5 times our monk level. Switching over to Fighter for a bit, we get a Fighting Style. Unarmed Fighting bumps our unarmed strike damage from a D4 to a D6, or to a D8 if we have both hands free. We can use the increased damage with our martial arts and our astral arms as well. I would have liked to pick archery to really go with the spirit of the marksmanship badge, but archery only works with ranged weapons, and our psychic blades are melee weapons that we happen to be using for ranged attacks by throwing them, so it doesn't actually apply. We could do thrown weapon fighting, but unlike archery, that increases the damage of the weapons, not the accuracy, and we'll be getting something better for our Psy Blast damage shortly. We also get Second Wind to calm down for a second and center ourselves to heal 1d10 plus our fighter levels a bonus action once per rest. Taking a break to relax really can be good for your mental health. Second level fighters get Action Surge to take a second action on their turn once per day. Do note that this doesn't give us another bonus action to use, and that no matter how many times we attack, our sneak attack damage can only be applied once per turn. We'll unlock even more psychic power at 3rd level as a Psi Warrior, giving us another pool of psionic energy dice. It follows the same rules as the pool we got from Soul Knife, d6s equal to twice our proficiency bonus, refills on a long rest can regain 1 per rest as bonus action, but even though they follow the same rules and are called the same thing, the two pools do not overlap. We have one pool to use for our Soul Knife abilities, and a second, completely separate pool for our Psi Warrior abilities. Speaking of which, we can put up a protective field as a reaction when we or another creature within 30 feet are hit with a weapon attack, expending a die and reducing the damage by the number rolled plus our intelligence modifier. On the flip side, we can propel our own weapons with our mind for a psionic strike, expending a die and adding the number rolled and our intelligence modifier to the damage we deal to a creature within 30 feet that we hit with a weapon. So within 30 feet and with our sneak attack, our Psi Blast deal 4d6 plus our dexterity and intelligence modifiers. Our last Psi Warrior power is the Telekinesis Merit Badge with telekinetic movement. As an action, we target a willing creature other than ourselves or a larger, smaller object. If the target is within 30 feet, we can move it up to 30 feet. If the target is within 30 feet, we can move it up to 30 feet to a space we can see. If the object is tiny, we can instead move it to or from our hand. We can use this any number of times per day, but each time after the first requires us to expend a die. We'll finish up our fighter levels by boosting our wisdom with an ability score improvement, and move on to wizard to get the rest of our merit badges. Mage Hand is minor telekinesis that doesn't require us to use up any resources. And Thunderclap is a palm bomb that deals up to 4d6 thunder damage to any adjacent creatures who fail a Constitution save. Mind Sliver is another form of Psy Blast, dealing up to 4d6 psychic damage to a creature who fails an intelligence save, as well as reducing the next save they make before the end of our next turn by 1d4. Levitation is a highly versatile ability, increasing our speed and jumping ability, and letting us float down from high places. We can use Catapult to throw objects at creatures with telekinesis, we can sense the emotions of creatures around us with Sense Emotions, and we'll get our Confusion badge with Id Insinuation, forcing a Wisdom save on a creature, incapacitating them if they fail. They stay incapacitated for up to a minute with our concentration, though at the end of each of their turns they take 1d12 psychic damage, and can repeat their save to end the effect. First level wizards get Arcane Recovery, letting us regain spell slots on a short rest once per day. We can get back spell slots with a total combined level up to half of our wizard level. Since we're taking 9 levels of wizard, we can get back up to a 5th level spell slot. At 2nd level, we get even more psychic powers by getting formal training in psionics from Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp. We pick a psionic focus. Since we put our goggles on whenever we enter a mind, I'm going to say that those are the focus. We can use them as a focus to cast our spells, and if we do, we can reroll any ones that come up for psychic or force damage from those spells. While we have our goggles, we can also cast Friends as a bonus action, giving us advantage on charisma checks against a creature. Normally the creature would become hostile after the spell ends, but thanks to the power of our goggles, they don't.
That is the purpose of the goggles.
At 3rd level we get 2nd level spells, like Web to gum up our enemies with mental cobwebs, and as a mind reader we can detect thoughts, reading the surface thoughts of creatures within 30 feet, and delving deeper if they fail a wisdom save. Mind Spike deals 3d8 psychic damage to a creature who fails a wisdom save, and puts a psychic sensor in their mind, so we always know where they are. Which is probably what Ford did to us, come to think of it, explaining why we can use the Augury spell to summon him to ask for advice with a piece of bacon. 4th level campers earn their Clairvoyance badge by taking the Eldritch Depth feat instead of by digging through a crazy man's mind fridge. The Gaze of Two Minds lets us see through another creature's eyes with our action, using their senses and blinding us to our own. As long as we stay on the same plane of existence, we can use our action to extend the effect on following turns. And we'll get our Pyromancy badge with Create Bonfire, lighting a fire that deals up to 4d8 fire damage to any creature who passes through it and fails a dexterity save. We can use Hold Person and Levitate with our Telekinesis badge, and can use the Invisibility badge to turn invisible with the spell Invisibility. So I know I said nothing from Psychonauts 2 would be in here, but I did say there would be a brief exception, and I did see the original teaser trailer, so we're going to pick up Slow for Psychonauts 2's Time Bubble, slowing down up to 6 creatures who fail wisdom saves. Their speed is halved, they can't take reactions, they have -2 to their AC and dexterity saves, and they can only take an action or a bonus action during their turn, not both. They can also only make 1 attack each turn, even if they have extra attack or multi-attack, and their spells have a 50% chance of being delayed for a turn when cast. We'll also grab Enemies Abound for some more confusion, making a target pick their targets at random for up to a minute if they fail an intelligence save, and Intellect Fortress for some psychic defenses, giving us resistance to psychic damage and advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saves. 6th level psionic wizards can enter a thought form a number of times per day equal to our intelligence modifier. For up to 10 minutes, we become a glowing figure of pure psionic energy, giving us resistance to psychic and non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, as well as letting us cast our spells without components as long as they don't have a cost, which should make it easier to take down any dad monsters we encounter. At 7th level, we get 4th level spells, like improved shield and invisibility badges, with Odaluk's Resilient Sphere and greater invisibility. Our Confusion Grenades force a wisdom save on creatures in a 10-foot sphere centered on a point we choose. If they fail, they have to roll a d10 on each of their turns to determine what they can do. Either moving in a random direction but not taking an action, attacking a random creature within reach but not moving, not attacking or moving, or just acting as normal. And we'll grab Dimension Door to teleport up to 500 feet. This isn't something Raz can actually do in the first game, don't know about the second, but he does use a literal door to get into people's heads, so I thought it was fitting. Then we'll use our last ability score improvement to round off our dexterity and intelligence. Our capstone is the 9th level of wizard for 5th level spells, and we are finally going into other people's minds with the Dream spell. We go into a trance and enter the target's dreams, where we can talk to and interact with them. Now, normally the creature has to be asleep, and we can shape the dream to our liking, even appearing monstrous, to deny the target any benefit from the sleep and dealing psychic damage. But we also can't take damage or fight, so maybe rule it as a variant of the spell that can be used while the target is awake, but since they're awake, their mind can assert more control over their mindscape, so the target dictates the form the mental world takes and can forcibly eject us if we take enough damage. We also get the highest level of our telekinesis merit badge with telekinesis, to lift huge creatures or objects into the air and move them around if they fail a strength check against our intelligence check. Now that the build is complete, the question becomes, how good is it? Well, our psychic abilities give us great versatility, locking down enemies, reading their minds, even communication and reconnaissance. We're also very consistent, since our powers let us re-roll low rolls and add to our skill checks so we can succeed when we need to. And psychic abilities are not what most enemies are ready to deal with. We have Psychic and Force damage, which are two of the least resisted damage types in the game, and several of our abilities need intelligence saves, which are also very unusual. On the other hand, we are just a child, and as such we have less than 100 HP, so we'll go down pretty quick, and Power Word Kill does exist. We also have a lot competing for our bonus action, between our Astral Arms, Thought Form, making extra attacks, and just everything else. And finally, we have a lot of resources to keep track of, with key points, spell slots, and 2 separate psionic pools really upping the complexity. Raz definitely has a lot of potential, but I think where he really shines is as a spy, doing covert ops, that sort of thing. So it's a good thing he's trying to become a psychonaut. I think. Are psychonauts spies? I don't actually know. I am excited to play the second game, though. Maybe we'll find out.
My name
Starts with a D.
is Rasputin, but everybody calls me Raz.
I hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any feedback or suggestions for characters you'd like to see me build, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, friends. I will see y'all later.